That moment when someone decides to come back into your life after you've let go. Isn't it fascinating? Here's the thing about letting go, it does something profound, not just to others, but to you. When we release someone, whether it's a friend, a partner, or a colleague, we're sending a powerful message. We're saying, I value myself enough to respect my boundaries, and my growth letting go isn't easy, it's an act of courage. It's often born from a place of love for ourselves and respect for what we deserve. And sometimes that shift in energy is exactly what draws people back to us. You see, people often don't realize what they have until they no longer have it. They may have been so accustomed to your support, your kindness, your patience, that it became something they took for granted. But when you remove yourself, when you show that you're capable of standing strong on your own, it forces others to pause and reflect. In that space, they start to see the value you brought into their lives. There's also something magnetic about someone who knows their worth and who moves forward confidently. It doesn't mean that you're flaunting your independence, it just means you're living fully and freely. And sometimes that kind of self-assured energy is irresistible. People are naturally drawn to it, like moths to a flame. When you focus on your own growth, it's like you're building a better version of yourself, and it reminds them of the qualities that attracted them to you in the first place. Another important thing to remember is that distance creates clarity. Absence allows people to see clearly, often for the first time, how you've impacted their lives. It's like a mirror held up to their own actions and their own heart. They may not have realized just how much you supported them, or how much of an anchor you were, until you were no longer there to rely on. Letting go reinforces your boundaries. It's a statement that says, I know what I'm worth, and I won't settle for less. That stance can lead others to respect you more, to see you in a new light. Sometimes this respect leads them to reach out, to reconnect, because they understand now what they lost. And if they return, it's because they see that boundary and they're willing to meet you on your terms, not theirs. Letting go isn't just an act of release, it's an invitation to respect, to value, and to understand ourselves more deeply. So when they come back, know that it's a testament to your growth, your strength, and your courage. And remember, you have every right to decide who walks back into your life and who stays out. Letting go is an incredibly powerful act. And when we do it, we unknowingly begin to shift the energy dynamic between ourselves and others. Often we hold on to people, situations, or relationships because we fear the unknown or believe that holding on is the only way to keep things intact. But when we finally decide to let go, whether it's out of necessity, self-preservation, or personal growth, something amazing happens. We stop clinging to the past and start embracing our own strength and independence. And that act of release, though it may seem painful or difficult in the moment, sends a powerful message not only to the person or situation we're letting go of, but also to the universe and to ourselves. When you let go, you show that you are no longer dependent on anything external to define your worth. You reclaim your power, and that power is magnetic. People can feel that shift. It's not something that can be ignored. They begin to notice that you're no longer chasing after approval, validation, or connection. You're standing tall on your own 2 feet, and in that space, you radiate a sense of self-assurance that is undeniably attractive. This energy of independence, while it may not be what others expected, becomes intriguing. The person who lets go of their attachment to a situation or relationship without fear, guilt, or regret exudes an inner strength that speaks volumes. And while letting go can feel like a loss in the moment, in reality, it's a victory. It's a victory over the parts of ourselves that were unsure, that were afraid, or that needed constant external reassurance. When you let go, you prove to yourself that you're strong enough to stand alone, to exist without relying on someone else's presence to feel complete. For others, this change can be a wake-up call. When we're constantly available, constantly waiting, constantly chasing after someone's attention or affection, people begin to take us for granted. They become complacent with our presence, knowing that we will always be there, ready to give, to support, to show up. But the moment we step back, the moment we stop chasing, the dynamic shifts. They begin to wonder what happened. Why are you no longer there? Why are you no longer pursuing them or the relationship the same way? And this shift, this absence, makes them start questioning their own actions and behavior. People often don't realize the full impact of a relationship until they no longer have access to it. The absence of your energy in their life creates a void, and in that void, they begin to reflect on what they might have lost. They start to remember the moments you shared, the ways you supported them, and the value you brought into their world. This kind of introspection can lead them to realize that they took you for granted, and that can spark the desire to reconnect. But it's not just the absence of your presence that draws people back in, it's the energy of your release. The fact that you were able to let go so confidently, so completely, signals that you are no longer defined by that relationship or connection. You've moved forward, and people can sense that shift. It's like a magnet pulling them back in, a curiosity about what's changed, what's different, and why you seem to be thriving without them. What's more, this newfound sense of independence doesn't mean you're giving up on relationships or connections. It means that you're no longer desperate for them. You're no longer willing to settle for less than what you deserve. And this is incredibly attractive to others. People are naturally drawn to strength, and when they see that you have let go of something without fear of loss, they often want to come back into your life, not just because they miss you, but because they respect the person you've become. The act of letting go isn't just about release, it's also about trust. You trust that by stepping away, you are opening up space for better things, for more meaningful connections, and for your own personal growth. You trust that what's meant for you will always come back, but only when it's meant to and only if it's right. And in that trust, you become an even stronger, more magnetic person. So when people come back after you've let go, know that it's not a sign of weakness, but a reflection of your strength. You didn't chase, you didn't beg, and you didn't settle. You simply let go, and that allowed you to step into your own power. The energy you put out into the world when you choose to release someone is contagious. It creates a space for growth, for respect, and for real connection to flourish. And when others recognize that, they'll be drawn back to you, not because they want to take advantage of your kindness again, but because they now see you for who you truly are, a person worthy of respect, love, and admiration. When we let go of a person or a situation, it's often because we've come to realize that we deserve more than what we're currently receiving. This realization often comes after a period of reflection, frustration, and sometimes heartbreak. But in that moment of letting go, something extraordinary happens. We stop focusing on what we're missing or what we feel we need, and we start to see our own worth more clearly. As we gain perspective on ourselves, it becomes easier to recognize our value, and paradoxically, that is often when others begin to understand it too. People who were once in our lives might not have fully appreciated what we brought to the table. They might not have recognized the ways in which we supported them, the sacrifices we made, or the depth of care we showed. When we are consistently available, constantly giving, and always present, it's easy for others to take us for granted. Our efforts become so ingrained in their daily lives that they forget to acknowledge or appreciate them. They may even begin to expect that we will always be there, always giving, always supporting, without fully recognizing the emotional, mental, or physical toll it may take on us. But the moment we step back, the moment we choose to let go, something shifts, it creates a void, and that void can cause the other person to reevaluate their feelings. The space we leave behind allows them to realize how much we contributed to the relationship, to their life, or to their success. They begin to understand just how much we did, often without receiving the same level of respect, care, or appreciation in return. When we're no longer there to fulfill the role we once did, they can't help but notice the absence. It forces them to reflect on what they took for granted and makes them reconsider their own actions and choices. This moment of reflection isn't just about them recognizing what they lost, but also about them questioning their past behavior. They might ask themselves why they didn't appreciate us more when we were in their lives. This can lead to a change in perspective, one that allows them to see us in a new light, as someone worthy of respect and admiration. The absence of our presence often makes people realize what they truly had. It's like a mirror being held up to their own actions and behavior, forcing them to see how they may have failed to acknowledge the value we brought into their lives. This newfound perspective isn't just about us. It's about them understanding the importance of appreciation and respect in any relationship. Often, people only understand the value of something once it is no longer available to them. It's in these moments of absence that they come to terms with the fact that we weren't just another person in their life, we were a vital part of their world. And when they come to this realization, it can spark a desire to reconnect, to make amends, and to try again, but this time with a greater sense of respect and understanding. In many cases, the decision to let go is not born out of bitterness or anger, but out of a deep understanding that we are worthy of being valued, appreciated, and loved in the way we give to others. It's a choice made from a place of self-love, a decision to prioritize our own well-being and happiness. When we make this choice, we are not only sending a message to the other person, but also to ourselves. We are telling ourselves that we deserve better, that we deserve to be seen and respected for who we truly are. This shift in perspective allows us to step into our own power, and as we do so, we begin to attract the attention of those who may have once overlooked or undervalued us. For others, this shift can be a wake-up call. The sudden absence of someone they once had easy access to can force them to confront their own shortcomings. They might have taken us for granted, assumed we would always be there, or never fully recognized how much we brought into their lives. But when we step away, we give them the opportunity to see things differently. This new perspective often leads them to understand what they truly lost and the impact we had on their lives. So when people return after we've let go, it's often because they have gained a deeper understanding of our value. They come back because they realize they didn't appreciate us as they should have, and now, with a clearer perspective, they want to reconnect, make amends, and hopefully build a more balanced and respectful relationship. This shift in their perspective doesn't just benefit them, it also benefits us. By letting go, we not only create the space for them to see our worth, but we also affirm to ourselves that we are deserving of relationships that honor and respect us fully. When you let go, something remarkable happens. You start to free yourself from the emotional burden of carrying a relationship or situation that was no longer serving you. Letting go doesn't just mean physically removing yourself from someone or something, it also means releasing the emotional attachment, the constant worry, and the mental energy you once invested in it. This emotional release creates a shift not only in your energy, but also in how others perceive you. It's almost as if you become a new version of yourself, stronger, more independent, and more self-assured. This transformation doesn't go unnoticed. People who were once a part of your life might start to see you in a different light, particularly when they sense that you are no longer attached to them in the same way. When we are emotionally invested in someone or something, it's often easy for others to see that we are putting them at the center of our world. This can sometimes lead to complacency. Others might think that because we care so deeply or are so available, we will always be there when needed. Our emotional attachment can, in some cases, be taken for granted. But when we let go, we send a powerful message. We are no longer dependent on anyone or anything for our sense of happiness, fulfillment, or peace of mind. We are whole on our own, and that is something that others can feel. This emotional freedom and independence can spark curiosity in those who have been a part of your life. They might begin to wonder why you no longer respond in the same way, why your energy feels different, or why you seem more at ease without their involvement in your life. When we are emotionally attached, we often give so much of ourselves that we start to lose sight of who we truly are. We might find ourselves compromising, adjusting, or even dimming our light in order to maintain the relationship or situation. But when we finally release that attachment, we reclaim our energy, our confidence, and our sense of self. This transformation is often so powerful that people who were once accustomed to the version of you who would bend, stretch, and sacrifice may start to feel the loss of your presence in their lives. The void that is created when you let go is not just a physical absence, but an energetic one as well. It forces others to confront their own behavior and see the impact of their actions or lack thereof on your life. The shift in energy is not just about them realizing what they've lost, however. It's also about you setting a new standard for how you deserve to be treated. When you let go, you are essentially telling others that you won't settle for less than you deserve, that your peace and happiness come first, and that you will no longer tolerate being undervalued or mistreated. This standard you set can be incredibly attractive to those who may have taken you for granted in the past. It forces them to reassess how they viewed you and whether they have been treating you in the way you deserve. This self-respect is magnetic. People are drawn to those who know their worth and aren't afraid to let go of what no longer serves them in order to preserve their happiness. As others witness this transformation, it can also inspire them to change their own behavior. Seeing someone confidently let go of something or someone that was holding them back can make others realize that they too have the power to set boundaries and prioritize their own well-being. It's a powerful reminder that we are not defined by our attachments, but by the strength and courage we have to create a life that aligns with our values and desires. In many cases, people may return after you let go because they've realized that they didn't fully appreciate what you brought to the relationship. They may have been too focused on their own needs, too busy taking you for granted, or too complacent in the familiarity of the dynamic. But once you step away and begin to thrive on your own, they can't help but notice. Your growth, your new energy, and your newfound independence often serve as a wake-up call to them. They see that you are no longer the person they once knew, that you are stronger, more confident, and more fulfilled than ever before. This can stir up feelings of regret or longing, as they realize that they may have lost someone who brought real value to their life. The truth is that when you let go, you often give the other person the space they need to see your worth from a new perspective. The absence of your energy in their life forces them to reflect on how much they took for granted and how much they miss what you brought to the table. But it also gives them the opportunity to grow and evolve. When you let go, you allow others the room to step up and meet you at your level of growth. Sometimes they need to see you thriving independently before they can understand the full extent of what you mean to them. So when others come back after you've let go, it's not just because they miss you, it's because they recognize the shift in your energy, your strength, and your self-worth. They see that you've grown, and in that growth you've set a new standard for how you deserve to be treated. And that new standard is something they now want to be a part of. When we let go, we often do so from a place of deep personal understanding. We realize that holding on to a situation or a person that no longer serves us is actually holding us back from achieving our true potential. Letting go is not just about distancing ourselves from others, it's about giving ourselves the freedom to grow and heal. This act of releasing what no longer fits can have a ripple effect. It frees up the emotional space and energy that were once tied to the past, allowing us to create new opportunities for ourselves. And this process often leads to the type of growth that others can't help but notice. One of the most profound aspects of letting go is how it often leads to personal transformation. The moment we release the grip we've had on something or someone, we begin to step into a version of ourselves that has been waiting for the space to grow. This can be a difficult process, as letting go often involves confronting pain, disappointment, or even a sense of failure. But when we let go, we are making room for something far more valuable, the chance to evolve. This evolution doesn't just happen in isolation. It is often noticed by others, especially those who might have been too focused on the version of you that was holding on to them, their behavior, or their expectations. As we begin to grow, we may start to see our own potential in a way that we hadn't before. Letting go can be a catalyst for stepping into our power, making decisions that align more closely with our values, and living in a way that reflects our true desires. This personal transformation can be incredibly attractive to those around us. They begin to notice the changes, how we carry ourselves with more confidence, how we make decisions that reflect our worth, and how we create boundaries that preserve our energy and peace of mind. People who may have once overlooked us or didn't fully appreciate what we had to offer begin to see us in a new light. They see someone who is not afraid to step into their own power, someone who is unapologetically themselves, and someone who is no longer tied to the past or to anyone who doesn't respect their journey. This process of letting go and growing can also trigger a powerful shift in how others view us. People who once took us for granted might begin to feel the loss of our presence in their lives. When we are emotionally available or constantly giving of ourselves, we often do so without expectation of anything in return. But when we choose to let go, others start to notice that we are no longer there to meet their needs. They may have taken us for granted, assuming that we would always be around, always ready to offer support, always available to meet them where they are. But the moment we step back, it forces them to realize that we are not a constant fixture in their lives. We are individuals with our own needs, desires, and goals.